Hey, what's up guys, and welcome to my channel. My name is Nick Leary, and today we're going through something that's similar to tips and tricks. However, I know you guys absolutely love that topic and also tutorials that kind of enhance your Mercedes-Benz experience. So today in this video, we're going to cover 10 hidden features that you didn't realize your Mercedes had. Let's start at number 1. So then guys, for the first one today is for anyone who has a fairly modern Mercedes-Benz with that MBUX multimedia system and that famous "Hey Mercedes" voice assistant.
How can I help?
Yes, that one. So, did you know that you can assign family relations to the voice assistant for the people who are kind of most important to you? So maybe people like your brother, parents, grandparents, that sort of thing, and you can basically ask the voice assistant to phone that specific relation. Let me show you. So in the car, just make sure your phone is powered up via Bluetooth to the multimedia system, and then what you want to do is go to phone and find the contact that you want to assign to that family member. So for argument's sake, I'm just going to find my brother, although I have just named this Nick's brother on here just for this example. And once you've found it on here, click on here, and then instead of clicking the actual button to phone it, what you'll then want to do is go to the dots over on the top right hand corner. In here is where you can set the relation. So when you go in here, for example, you can set anything from assistant to aunt, boss, boyfriend, brother, child. There's loads of examples here that you can do. So if I set that to brother, which was near the top, once that's saved, if you then say the magic phrase, "Hey Mercedes, phone my brother," then it will phone the person you've saved on that relation. Now for the next one guys, did you know about the hold feature on Mercedes-Benz? Now this is present on virtually all Mercedes-Benz. I have covered this before though, and I did do this on my first tips and tricks video, but sadly I for some reason left it right to the end. I should have put it at the top because it is such a good tip and trick. So here we go. When you come to a stop, so in all automatics you put your foot on the brake pedal, car comes to a stop just like this. There we go. Now the next thing you'd normally do is keep your foot on the brake pedal and just wait till the traffic lights or whatever until you're ready to go. And as soon as you take your foot off the brake pedal, it'll start to go forward again. Now the hold feature is built into this brake pedal. So if I hold my foot on the brake pedal again, come to a stop, but using the brake pedal, give it a very short and sharp press down to the floor, just like this. And then it will say hold on the screen. Now, when you're in this hold mode, you can take your feet away from the pedals and literally it will stay here until you're ready to go. And then to release it, just tap your foot on the accelerator pedal and away you go. Now, another hidden feature on Mercedes-Benz is that if you're lucky enough to have a sunroof like this one here, it may feature an auto close feature. So in the event of rain, so let me try this out here for you now. If I spray this onto the rain sensor, the second it detects the rain, the roof closes. Now that's such a cool safety feature just to prevent the flooding of your interior. Now not all Mercedes-Benz have this, but it is found on pretty much Mercedes-Benz over the past few years or so. Now for the next hidden feature today guys is the next track button. Now this is something that I personally use every single day. And you'll find that with some manufacturers they have like a previous track or next track button on the steering wheel. Now because Mercedes-Benz are all digital and they have digital displays and are quite futuristic looking, they don't actually have that on the actual steering wheel. Now yes, you could press the home button and then change this and put that section to media, but then you lose that vital information, the big digital speed. It's just made a little bit small at the top. But I know some people like to keep that big speed in the middle. So there is an even easier way of changing your track. So in the middle here, if you have one of the more modern Mercedes-Benz with a touchpad, in the middle here there is a next track and previous track button. So if you click this in, it will bring up a sub-menu on the screen here. So for example, say you're on the sat-nav screen and you're navigating somewhere and you want to change to the next track, just click that button in and then you can swipe that left or right to change the track without losing the sat-nav screen. So that is one good workaround. Now, while I'm on the topic of the touchpad, you can actually adjust some of the more finer settings of that touchpad and its haptic feedback and sensitivity and that sort of thing. So if you ever want to change this, just swipe the touchpad all the way to the right hand side and go to settings, and then in here go to system and then the menu called Controls. In here you can adjust things from the touchpad sensitivity. You can even turn on the thing called Touchpad Tap, so that enables you to literally tap the touchpad instead of actually forcefully clicking it in. And on top of this as well, you can even adjust the haptic operating feedback. Now that is the small vibration you feel in this area on the actual touchpad itself. So you can probably just about hear it here. You can feel that like kind of thud from the touchpad. But if you turn that off, you'll just hear the clicking from the speakers. And that brings me on to the final one, which is acoustic operating feedback. You can actually turn that click on the speakers completely off. So when you're navigating through the menu, you don't hear any clicking or any kind of vibrations from the middle. Or if you wanted, you can do the opposite and select loud, and then you can hear it clicking through the speakers. So it's just a few customizations there on the actual touchpad itself. Now, next up, guys, is a feature that is definitely underrated in the Mercedes-Benz world, and that is a thing called What 3 Words integration. So if you haven't heard of What 3 Words before, basically it's a separate company who have literally mapped out the entire world with these small 3x3 meter squares. So a very, very good example here is if you're going to navigate to this building right here, you'd usually put in a postcode that is BH152BD, and that will take you to this area. But the problem is, it takes you to that area. So if you're trying to get to one specific point, this is where What 3 Words comes in. So if I gave you the What 3 Words of that square over there by the front door, that is twice, hugs, spins. And if you navigate to that on your Mercedes-Benz multimedia system, well, you won't get lost at all. So of course you'll need the What 3 Words app to actually find out what these 3 words are for each square that you want to visit, but Mercedes-Benz do have this integration built into their multimedia system in MBUX. Now, I have made a dedicated video on What 3 Words, so if you wanted to know more about it and the more detailed version, do click on the pop-out banner up above. However, in this simple example, I'm just going to navigate to that square that I showed you over there, and that is simply, hey Mercedes,
how may I help you?
Navigate to What 3 Words, twice, hugs, spins.
Here is what I found. Where do you want to go?
And then it will navigate you to that exact point, so it makes it quite easy to navigate to places which might be difficult to otherwise find. Now, driving a Mercedes-Benz at night time is definitely an experience, especially if you have adaptive headlights like intelligent light system, multi-beam LED, or even digital light. These sophisticated systems kind of adapt your full beam automatically at night time, so when cars come towards you, it can dip those headlights down, but most importantly, giving you full beam everywhere else apart from that car, which is some pretty cool tech. As you can see here, as you go around the corner, it just automatically keeps that cutout where that car is, just giving you full beam on the left and the right of the object. Definitely one of my favourite Mercedes-Benz systems. However, if you're driving in a built-up area and you want to control this manually, you don't need to hold the stalk towards you, you can manually control this. So, for example, if I just switch to dipped beams here on this straight bit, all you need to do is change the light cluster down here to the 1 o'clock position to the right, and now I can control this manually. As you can see here, I can flip the full beam on and then flick it off, just like that. But of course, when you're done, just make sure you put the lights back to automatic, and then it can do the full beam automatically. Now for my next example, guys, is for all of you EV owners out there, electric vehicle owners. So don't worry, I haven't left you out. This one is specifically for you guys. Now, did you know that on your multimedia system, you can have almost like a snapshot of how far you can drive on your current charge? So to do this, if you go to settings and then go to range, now it doesn't look as though it's done anything, but look what happens when you zoom out. So I'm going to change this to north up so the UK is the right way around, and zoom right out. Once you're zoomed out, you'll see this kind of ring round the UK or the country you're in, and it will show you how far you can travel based on the current charge of the car. Now, of course, this is in Mercedes-Benz Pool showroom at the moment and isn't fully charged because I guess it doesn't go out too much, but yeah, you can clearly see there, I think this is on, from the looks of it, maybe 60 or 70%, and you can actually reach Birmingham, so that's quite a long way up for a car that's not fully charged. So yeah, that's just one example, shows you how far you can travel based on the current charge of the car. Now, the first thing that everybody does when they get their new Mercedes-Benz is, for start, adjust their seat. So I'll just get this quickly set up to roughly my right position. Should be about there. Did you know there are a couple of more customizations on your seat than you might not know about? So for start, this button here controls the headrest forward and backwards like this. But you can also, on some models, lift it up higher for taller people. And then of course, don't forget you've got that adjustment there as well. So if I factor that in as well, I'll probably have the seat back a bit more. Maybe a bit like that. And then if I bring that headrest, maybe about there. Yeah, that'll do. Perfect. So guys, for the next one, did you know that you can get the voice assistant in the car to play specific songs in your library? Now I will just add, you do need to be using the default media streaming app for your phone. So if it's an iPhone, you'll need to be using Apple Music. So to give you a demo, I've got my phone plugged in here at the moment. Hey Mercedes.
How may I help you?
Play the artist Daxton. And then it will play that specific artist you asked. And there we go guys, that concludes this week's video on the 10 hidden features that you might not have realised your Mercedes-Benz had. But guys, thank you so much for watching. Hit that subscribe button down below, and of course if you have any suggestions for future content that you'd like me to cover, let me know down below and I might just consider making a video on your suggestion. But guys, as always, huge shout out to Sandown Mercedes-Benz as they helped provide access to all these awesome cars you see in the video today. But guys, thank you again. Until next week, see you then.